the next topic, which was Kyle Shanahan. I think all three of us have a little bit different opinion of him. Has your opinion of Shanahan changed at all over the course of this offseason?
I'll let Jesse start this time.
Yeah. I mean, no, not really. The thing is I never hated Shanahan. I've always liked Shanahan. I've always stood up for him and said he's an offensive genius, and all those things are true, right? Like, it's not if, then this. You can be a great schemer, arguably the best schemer in the whole league, okay? You can draw up amazing plays. You can be a very solid coach, but then also not be the best when it comes to personnel. And I can't say that my opinion changed when 3 minutes ago I was just arguing that my concern is the overall roster construction when I know that he's the biggest part of that. Yeah, Parag works his magic, but the flip side of that is when Parag was willing to let Williams walk and go a different direction, Williams calls up Shanahan and Shanahan goes, hold on, don't sign with the Chiefs, give me a minute. He calls Parag, and now all of a sudden we're overpaying, in my opinion, to get Trent Williams. So he does play favorites, which is never a good thing when you are a leader of an organization, but he's also a great coach. He's a great on-the-field coach, and I think that players love him. So I don't want to kill him, but my opinion hasn't changed because all the things that I thought were great about him, I still believe are great about him. All the things that I thought were weaknesses about him, I still feel like are weaknesses. So, no, my opinion has not changed. What I will say is my opinion of how the draft went as a whole and getting guys that weren't injury-prone, hey, maybe it's too little too late to turn it around, but I love that they went and got guys that can at least stay healthy. That was a good start. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, remarkably, my answer is the same, but for very different reasons than Jesse. So my opinion of Shanahan hasn't changed at all. I actually, for the most part, everything that Shanahan did this offseason, I was kind of projecting. I wrote the article to say he's not going to take Mac Jones. He's going to take, either Lance, Fields, or a Wilson. I personally thought he was leaning towards more Fields. I clearly was wrong with that, but I also wasn't down on Lance. I thought Lance would be a great pick. He ended up picking Lance. And then the second thing that I said that people were dragging me for was he's going to focus on the run game. He's going to put a lot of assets into taking like a running back and focusing in on that run game. And, half of the picks are directly related to getting that run game bigger. So as far as like Shanahan and his overall scheme, he does exactly what I think he's doing. The thing that I think he's done and what, Jesse actually alluded to that should change some of the minds or this narrative that some of the Shanahan haters tend to do is that he's just set in his ways and he's like an egomaniac and he's not somebody that evolves and all this kind of stuff. Well, we went from Kirk Cousins and that's all he looks for to now him picking Trey Lance. We went from all they do is take chances on these injury-related players, and now they're focused on, making sure that health is a big factor in who they draft and whatnot. So that evolution is something that I think is awesome and something that I never thought he didn't have. It's just now it's showing in a way that, the haters can be like, oh, well, maybe he is, doing something different. But I think it's always been there. It's just people focus everything in like a very small petri dish versus looking at putting it in context and seeing like the bigger picture overall. So for me, I haven't learned anything new. I still know he's great, and I'm glad that he's my coach.
But do we know that Kyle Shanahan wanted Trey Lance, or was that just John Lynch? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, for me, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say no. It hasn't really changed. For me, my issues with Shanahan have always been more about the way that he manages the game. I just think he struggles at times with the game management. So that's not going to, by my opinion, of Shanahan's really not going to change until we get to week one and start to play games and see how he's doing that. I think, from a schematic standpoint, he's really good. I like the fact that, like as Neil mentioned, that he went out and they really kind of reconstructed this offense. I think I was with Sunil in that I wasn't very vocal about it, but I kind of put out there every once in a while that I thought running back should be something that they invested in because of the injury history there, and Mostert and Wilson always kind of getting injured, and they lost a couple of guys. So, we'll see what happens. I think that Shanahan's put himself in a position now. What I like most about this offseason, really quick, when it comes to Shanahan, is that he went out and he got his quarterback. Because I've kind of been on that train where he's struggled a little bit, and I keep hearing about how he's never had his quarterback, he's never had his guy. Well, now he's got his guy, so that can't be an excuse for any of the outcomes with this team moving forward. It can't be, he doesn't have the quarterback that he chose. So from that standpoint, I'm excited to see how it plays out moving forward with the 49ers and Shanahan.
And one last thing, like something that I think just gets brushed under the table is Kyle Shanahan's leadership. I know you said he plays favorites, and that makes that's like bad for a leader. I think the reality is everybody has their favorites, whether, whatever, even the greatest coaches that you could name have had their favorites. But if you look at just the culture that's created in San Francisco once Shanahan got there from what it used to be is much better now than it was with the previous regime. And two, if you look at the coaches that have been developed with the 49ers under Shanahan's tutelage, you're looking at Saleh, you're looking at even like some of the guys that got traded where we got compensatory picks for them. Like those are all assets of a really strong leader and a really good like football mind. And I think that those are attributes that sometimes get overlooked. And it's all because of what Shanahan has done. It's like kind of like right now, if you're looking at sports news, Kwame Brown is all over the thing. And I'm not saying anything as far as Shanahan and Kwame Brown, but Kwame Brown was...
Don't say anything bad about Kwame. He'll come after you.
I love Kwame. What I'm saying is Kwame Brown was dragged because of where he got picked and and what like the expectations were for a first round pick of Michael Jordan, right? Or number one draft pick of Michael Jordan. Kyle Shanahan is held to a standard higher than maybe he was in at that moment because of how well he did at such an early age in his football career. So a lot of these things like Jack was talking about as far as he's made some bad decisions in, maybe some of the Super Bowl and things of that as far as like plays and schemes and stuff like that. Well, he's also gotten there way quicker than a lot of other people in his same position. So there are going to be growing pains. It took Andy Reid how many years before he was able to win his Super Bowl, and now all of a sudden all the Andy Reid detractors are not there anymore because he got that monkey off of his back. Well, Shanahan is still in that same position. He's still extremely young. He's still showing progression as a person, as a man, and as a coach. And I think that like we should have that patience with him because of where we got him in his career. He's going to go down as one of the greats, I think, just based off of what he's done so far so quick.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, the reason that I'm critical, and by the way, I'm probably more critical on myself than anybody. So when I look at Shanahan, I'm a leader in the organization that I work for, okay? I have a very similar leadership style to Shanahan. A lot of guys get promoted under me. Everybody says the atmosphere is like a family atmosphere. It's the best they've ever worked for. But I also know when it's time to make a tough decision and let somebody go that maybe I like, it's tough for me to do that. And maybe I hold on too long just because I think, hey, I can make this work. Or if they fail, really it's me failing. And I think that it can definitely be a detriment. And I analyze myself quite a bit and what I can do better as a leader. And so when I see those same qualities in Shanahan or some of those same weaknesses, I'm going to call it out because it's something I would call out myself. And I see it with Shanahan. And I think that sometimes your biggest strength can also be your biggest weakness. And it's something that you have to be very cognizant of. Yes, he's young in his leadership and being a head coach. And do I think he can turn it around? Sure, I definitely do. But I also know that sometimes personality traits are just personality traits, and they're always going to be a downfall. And that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, very well stated by both of you. And I agree. I agree with both of you guys. I mean, let's see what he does. hopefully he'll continue to improve. There were moments of some good stuff last year. There were some bad times too. So that's just we'll go see how it goes, and I'll definitely be breaking him down on the film every week. So that'll be fun.